Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our office hours session. Today, we're going to be talking about helping parents and caregivers of children who stutter. This is part two of a series. In the previous part, we talked about parents of young children, ages 2.5 to maybe 5 or 6. Now, we're going to be talking about the parents of school-age children. For those of you who are on the line, you can be typing in questions in the chat window. We'll do our best to answer all of those. That we will take whatever questions you have, and I see that there's some questions coming in now. That's terrific. You can always reach out to us if we don't get to all the questions here. This is being recorded. We'll place it on our website at stutteringtherapyresources.com and also on our YouTube channel, which is Stuttering Therapy Res, to protect people's identity and copyright and things. Rather than you recording it, we'll record it. We'll put it up there for you to be able to access it for free at any time you like. So, in the previous session, we were talking about the parents of young children who stutter, and we emphasized helping to reduce their fear. We emphasized validating their experience and providing them with appropriate education and support. And we talked about how to help them create a healthy environment for their child's development, both of good communication attitudes and a good communication environment overall. In this session, we're going to be talking about the parents of school age children, ages 7 or so up to about age 18. And the four topics that we're going to be hitting in this session are developing acceptance and self esteem, helping the parents help the kids develop that. We'll talk about what they know and what they don't know, and what they think they know and what they probably shouldn't think they know. We'll talk about what the goals of therapy really are, because one of the biggest problems that we face in working with parents of school age children is they don't know what to expect from therapy. And sometimes what they hope will happen is not consistent with what is really going to happen. And then we're going to talk about support and connecting the children and the families with this broader world that we live in, where there is great resource and great support for people who stutter. So those are our four key topics. Again, please do answer questions off in the chat window, and we will do our best to get to all of them. One thing you'll notice if you're watching the video is that while one of us is talking, the other one is frantically typing. We're not just doing email, we're answering the questions that are in the chat window. You can always send us questions, info at stutteringtherapyresources.com, and we'll have that up on the screen a little bit later. But you can always reach out to us because we are here to provide more information and support for you about helping kids who stutter and their families. So I'm going to start this one out then with our first topic, which is developing acceptance and self-esteem. Acceptance is probably the most important and the least understood aspect of stuttering therapy, because there is this sense that if you're accepting the fact that you stutter, that means that in some way you're giving up on this dream of becoming a non-stuttering speaker. And giving up is not what acceptance is all about. Acceptance is about recognizing that you can tolerate a difference that you have, that you can live with a difference that you have. And even if you're working to make changes in that difference, you don't have to hate yourself along the way. I can say that I would like to be working toward a goal in my life, whatever that goal is, but I don't have to feel bad about myself along the way, even while I'm working toward that goal. And I fear that sometimes the message that's sent to kids who stutter is you really need to work on your speech, because if you don't do that, well, you're going to have problems later on when you go to get a job. Or, as I have heard parents say, not maliciously, but because of their own fear, no girl is ever going to want to talk to you while you talk like that. Or, there's no way you'll get into college talking like that. Or, how are you ever going to get into the service? They're not trying to be mean, it's just their fear speaking. And that's not the message that we want to send to kids who stutter. We want instead to send the message of building their self esteem, helping them learn that what they say is valuable and valid and worthy of being said, even if it comes out disfluently, even if they stutter, because what they say is what matters, not how they say it. Now, that's kind of hard for people to come to terms with sometimes because there's so much focus on fluency, not only in our society, but especially in our field. In fact, I've seen that some of the least tolerant people of stuttering are speech language pathologists because some of us, maybe got into the field to fix speech problems. But stuttering is not a fix it condition. It's not the kind of thing where we just give kids some technique or strategy or teach them 20 techniques and strategies and expect that if they only practice enough, they'll get fluent. That's not how it works for most people who stutter. Sure, there are those who do, but that's not how it works for most people who stutter. For most people who stutter, dealing with stuttering is a lot like dealing with most of the other conditions in our field because we're not a curative field. Yeah. We don't cure things like aphasia. We don't cure autism. We don't cure apraxia. Those are just the A's, right? The things that we do in our field are compensatory, helping people learn to cope effectively with. And that's what acceptance means for stuttering, helping people learn to cope effectively with the fact that indeed, for whatever reason, their brains are different. Their brains produce disrupted speech, and that's okay. And it's a characteristic for them, one of many characteristics that people have, and it doesn't have to be self defining. So when we're helping the parents of school age kids, one of the first things we have to do is help ourselves come to terms with stuttering. Because as you know, stuttering is often a very uncomfortable area for clinicians to work with. So we help ourselves learn that it's okay for our kids to stutter. We teach the parents that it's okay for their kids to stutter. And then the parents and we and all of the other people in the child's environment can create this supportive world in which we build self esteem. That is probably the most important thing that we can do for kids who stutter is build their self esteem because they are going to be out there in the world that doesn't understand stuttering. We don't want to be complicating that if we ourselves don't understand stuttering. Let's keep our focus where it belongs on helping the child be the best person that he can become, on helping him communicate as effectively as he can, and let's not tear him down. The rest of the world will do that plenty. The child who can withstand that is the one who has strong self esteem. We build it, parents build
Because we also have to help parents find that factual information that will help them support their child and not make assumptions that they have it. Many times when I'm working with my fellow clinicians in the public schools and in private practice and anywhere, actually, we discover that there's an assumption that happens that if a child is of school age, that the parent already got really good information from the clinician before me. And of course, that's not exactly the case most times. And even if they got good information, do they remember it? Were they ready to hear it? Because readiness is part of being able to absorb what someone is telling you. And so we don't want to make assumptions that parents have factual information just because their child is older. So any child that comes on our caseload or into our clinic, with those parents, we have to do what Scott and I do in our clinical guides is checking in. We want to check in with those parents. What have you been told? What have you heard on the internet or on YouTube? And what do you believe? What are your beliefs and perceptions about this disorder? Number one, and then about your child's stuttering. So, what do you know and believe about stuttering, and what do you know and believe about your child's stuttering? Because parents come in with their own set of ideas. We have to find out what that is and what those are so that we can help peel back some of those layers and help them build a groundswell of what's realistic and what is true about stuttering and help them start to navigate new ideas so that they can see their child in a new way. If they were coming with preconceived notions that were not based in fact, they've been looking at their child stuttering as something that it's not. And as Scott was saying, parents want, and sometimes rightfully so, because they're parents and they want to help, they want to find out the quick fix or the new way that they're going to help their child stop stuttering. And just because they're older doesn't mean the parent has given up on that. Even if clinicians have told them what's realistic and what's not, it doesn't mean they automatically went, oh, yeah, that's okay. My child might stutter for the rest of his life. I'm good now. They need help and support in that acceptance journey of their own. And so we want to find out what is not going well in their ideas and perceptions and start to fold in some of the understanding of the facts and the knowledge that will help that parent then help their child in a more effective manner. Which leads me to realistic expectations of what therapy can and cannot do. Um, there's a lot of hope out there, and we don't want to squash hope. Okay, we're not trying to take away hope from parents. What we are trying to help them do is balance the hope for their child to learn to communicate and say what they want when they want, and the reality that there are no quick fixes or cures for stuttering at this time. And that helps them set realistic expectations for what therapy can and can't do. The goals in therapy are going to be communication based, we hope. We talk about it as much as we can so that we can switch from that focus on fluency to the focus on communication. I want to hear what you have to say. I don't care how it comes out. And even if I have cared how it's coming out, I'm starting to move as a parent and a caregiver into a new way of hearing you without judging how your speech is coming out. And so helping parents understand that if therapy has a communication focus, they're not going to be able to see goals for fluent speech. And that may be a change. They may have seen those goals in the past. And if you're a clinician that's helping them move into this new reality of what's realistic expectations of therapy, you're going to have to do some explaining about how that all works. Helping parents set those realistic expectations creates a space for us as clinicians to partner with parents instead of coming up against a constant state of, but he's still stuttering, but he's still stuttering. And we're not going to have them in therapy for the rest of their lives because they're still stuttering. The answer to they're still stuttering is yes. Yes, they are. And therapy is going to help them learn to navigate how to communicate freely, spontaneously, and effectively, but not perfectly fluently. Since, by the way, that doesn't exist in the world anyway. So we're chasing something that's not attainable. We have to realize that when we talk about this, it's not going to be an instant, oh, good, now I'm okay. It's going to be a gradual change, and they're going to need us to talk with them in supportive and validating ways all through that. And that's our role, and we can do it.
I want to highlight a few resources that go along with what Nina was just talking about. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you one of the checking in forms that comes from our books. At the back of both our early childhood stuttering therapy book and our school age stuttering therapy book, we have a bunch of forms and worksheets and handouts for parents, handouts for teachers, materials that you can work through with the students themselves. But here's one example of something that Nina was talking about, our checking in with parents and caregivers, where we get the opportunity, even if we can't be with the parents face to face because of the setting that we work in, but we can learn more about how the parents view stuttering with checking in with parents and caregivers. You'll see that that's a fairly lengthy form, but we also have checking in about your previous therapy that we can use with the kids. We have bunches of these checking in forms in both of the books that help us learn about where they are presently so that we can meet them there and help them move toward a different place. Another thing that I want to bring your attention to is our blog on our website. If you go to stutteringtherapyresources.com and under the blog, you will find lots and lots of entries that Nina and I have both written about the things that are on our minds. But one of the ones is especially, whoops, when you're trying to help the parents understand that we work to minimize adverse impact in the child's life. And when we've done that, yes, the child will still stutter, but he'll be okay. Well, that might bring us to the point where we're getting ready for dismissal. And there's a blog entry that I did a couple years ago now. I want to dismiss him, but the parents are worried. How do we help with that? So you'll find lots of examples of the kinds of responses that Nina and I provide, the kinds of data that we collect in order to support those recommendations, and the words that we use to help parents through some of these changes. The last topic that we're going to address directly today is resources and support for the families, getting them and the kids connected with the broader community for people who stutter and their families. And I have to tell you, even though stuttering is a very challenging condition for people to cope with, we are very fortunate in this field to have a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities that we can connect families with. In particular, Nina and I have both been very active with the stuttering self-help and support organizations. We've both worked extensively with the National Stuttering Association. I'm going to do a quick share screen here. Here's the website of the National Stuttering Association. Their website is simply westutter.org. And on the NSA's website, you can learn this most important message. It just is conveniently right up there for me. If you stutter, you are not alone. They could have picked anything for their motto, but for all these years, NSA has been around since 1977. They've been focused on building community and letting people know that they're not alone, because stuttering can be a very isolating condition, not only for the kids, but also for the parents. And they may not realize that there are people out there who understand what they're going through, who've been there, and who've achieved improvements in their lives by connecting with others. So I want to make sure that our families know that and the kids know that. The NSA is one that we've both been very active in, but they are not the only stuttering support organization. There is also SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, which started out, some of you may know Our Time Theater Company, as an opportunity for music and drama for kids who stutter. Here's another opportunity to connect kids with another outlet for meeting other kids who stutter, for parents to meet other parents of other kids who stutter, to realize that they're not alone. And another organization, Friends, the National Association for Young People Who Stutter. Of course, this is in addition to the Stuttering Foundation, which everybody is already familiar with. The Stuttering Foundation, not so much a support organization for people who stutter, though they do provide a lot of resources for people who stutter. They also provide a lot of resources for clinicians. But Friends that I mentioned, Friends, the National Association of Young People Who Stutter, where'd you go? Oh, there they are. Friends, there we go. And Say and the NSA are all focused on helping kids who stutter know that they're not alone. For the NSA in particular, helping adults who stutter know that they're not alone. And for all, helping families and Incidentally, speech language pathologists know that they're not alone in facing stuttering. Connecting people with these communities can help take some of the sting out of being different. It's hard. It really is to stand up in a society that values fluency so much and say, I sound different when I talk, and it's okay. We can help the kids learn to say that in therapy. We can help them learn to say it in school with the support of their parents and teachers. We can help them learn to say it at home and help the parents understand that. But we can't fool ourselves. It's still going to be hard when they go out into the rest of the world that does not understand stuttering. And so when we build that self esteem within them, we can also help them form a community around them that helps to support that self esteem. This also helps the parents. Oh, some of the most powerful moments that I've ever experienced as a speech language pathologist have been when I'm sitting at a meeting, a self-help meeting, and ostensibly I'm running the parent group, right? But the best ones are where I don't say a word because one parent who's been through it and has come through the very difficult times that it takes to come to accept a difference in her child, she'll get with another parent and she'll say, listen, I remember when I was doing to my kid what you're doing to yours. Remember, it gets easier, it gets better, and actually, he's doing a lot better with this than you are. You need to trust him. Uh, it's tremendously powerful to see the changes that people can help each other achieve. So I recommend that you connect every family that you work with self-help in some fashion. Some will just see the website and that'll help them feel better. Some might receive a newsletter and that'll be helpful. That'll help them feel better. Some might make connections with other kids, pen pals with other kids. Some might go to a meeting. Some might go to an annual convention, though not this year. There'll be virtual conventions this year, okay? And through that connection, they'll learn that they really are okay, that they don't have to stop stuttering in order to be who they want to be, that they can overcome the burden of stuttering, even if they might still sometimes stutter in their speech, even if they might stutter a lot in their speech, but they can overcome the burden so they can say what they want, when they want, to whom they want, the way they want, without fear.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And I that wraps up our four preformed ideas for the parents of school-age children who stutter. I believe you've answered all of the questions in the chat so far, and we've gotten to everyone. What I want to do is close us out, and then we might stick around if need be. But I want to take us to the summary and resources because I think it's very fitting to realize that these four topics that we've talked about today are synergistic. We help parents develop acceptance and self-esteem in their children. We do this through listening to what they have to say. Even though they're parents of kiddos who have been stuttering for a while, we don't assume that they have good information. So we continue to check in with them, provide more factual and helpful information that they may be ready to hear now that their child is older. We help them set realistic expectations for what therapy can and cannot do in the world of stuttering and connect them with support organizations that help them support their children who stutter. Cannot emphasize that one more because, as Scott was saying, that ability to connect with other people who are walking the walk that they are walking is paramount. No matter how they access the information, just by reading, just by virtually lurking on a website or a parent Facebook group, these are the ways that they become ready to help their child who stutters navigate the world especially as the therapists begin to drop out. These children are going to need their parents as their support system, and we have a very good opportunity to develop that support system at a young age. All right. Please make certain that you connect with us on our social media channels. I'm going to put those up right now. You can also always find us on our website and through info at stutteringtherapyresources.com. Don't forget, we're having some more office hours. And please don't forget to go back and look at some of the other office hours. If you're just finding us now, we've been doing this for quite a few weeks. We'll continue through the month of May. We continue to give other resources and information on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So please join with us there. I just got information, shared some things on Instagram and Facebook yesterday, got some requests for expanding it. There's last night, and last night I stayed up late and put a blog up about the things that we shared on Facebook and Instagram yesterday. So please don't forget that those are available to you, and they continue to give you helpful information about helping your students who stutter.
Right. With that, I want to thank you all for joining us. Reach out to us anytime, and we're going to get through this difficult period that we're all in. In the meanwhile, the things that we know about stuttering and that we can learn about stuttering, they're consistent. It's still okay to stutter, and we need to help other people learn that.
Thanks.